Hi guys, welcome to Digital TechJoint. I hope everybody is doing good. And in this video tutorial, we are going to learn about Visual Studio Code Editor. So we are not going to only learn about Visual Studio Editor, but we will also create a small database-driven application using ASP.NET, all using Visual Studio Code. Now, what is Visual Studio Code? So basically, Visual Studio Code is a very popular and free open source editor developed by Microsoft, and it is freely available. You can just type in VS Code, like I'll just show it to you in your Google. You can just type in VS Code on your browser, and the link that comes up as Visual Studio Code is your editor. Now, here you can download the editor for Windows or you can download for Mac or Linux. It's freely available, and it is a very advanced editor, and it is not only used for C sharp, it is used across other language as well. So basically there are a lot of developers who prefer writing, they like to use a very lightweight core editors, and to my experience, it is one of the most very lightweight, agile, and with loaded with lots of features which I'll show to you. It is basically a cross-platform browser editor. It is very intuitive in design. We'll see that I've already downloaded it, and I've downloaded for Windows. And then it is provides a very IntelliSense code completion similar to our Visual Studio editor. Then it has various extensions. Then I'll show you how to download the extensions, and you has debugging capabilities. You can also do version controlling. Obviously, you can link it with GitHub so that you can upload your source code in GitHub, and also use branching, and you can merge and view all the history of the code and everything. So in a nutshell, it's a very fantastic editor, and we'll see how we can go ahead and create a ASP.NET application using a Visual Studio Code. So I'll go ahead and just start my Visual Studio. So I'm just in the run, I'm typing VS Code. Since I've installed it, you can see it is appearing in my Windows taskbar. So I'm opening Visual Studio Code now. So yeah, this is a dashboard. This is a starting screen of VS Code. Now I have used a theme which is dark, and if you would like to change the theme, just click on the extreme left bottom. Here you can see manage the icon. You can see it over. You click on that, and then you will be able to see profile, uh, and uh, and these are the settings which can you use. So I'll go ahead and show you how to change the profile. So basically here you can see just one moment here, settings. Yeah, so this is, just click over here, themes, color themes. And when you click on, so I'll just show it to you again. So when you click on this icon manage, there's an option called themes, and in themes there is an option color theme. You click on that, and this is a command palette where you can see the options. So if you want a light, so you can see it changes. Similarly, there are other options. You click on themes, color. There is something called a dark model, which I had used. So here you can go ahead and select the themes. I'll go back to the one which I had. So I selected dark plus. So this is an option. So this is how you can change the themes, and I'll just close this window. Now on your, so this is the option, the first option on your left top, just underneath the file option. This is a project file. Right now there is no projects open, and I have not created any project. And this is the search option. Then this is source code control. Like if you have a GitHub account, you can download that and you can log into the GitHub, and all your code will be synced in the GitHub. Then there's something called run and debug, which you can use it later. We'll show to you. These are the extensions that we will require to download it. Right now I have not installed any extension. These are the popular extension that needs to be installed, and this is based on your choice and your programming language. I'll show you, since we are going to develop ASP.NET application MVC, we will be using most of the C sharp functionality. I'll show it to you. So this is how you click on this option and you download those extension. And there is two things. One is a terminal. So this is a new terminal. If you click on new terminal here, you get a terminal window where we'll be writing the command to create a ASP.NET application. We will be writing command for migrations and building the application and everything. So this is what we will use this command prompt. So this is a terminal, and second is this view, and in view we can see this command palette. So this is required where we can download the NuGet packages, and there are a lot of other commands that we can use from here. So these were the important components, and I'll also show you how do you set it up. So now you need to click on the files and select open folder. Now this is my working directory, so I'm going to create a folder over here saying book world, Amazon books. So this is a folder name, and I've selected. So here you can see this is under Amazon books under this. So whatever project we will be creating will be created under Amazon projects. So this was the high level settings of this editor, and we will see now. We'll go ahead, and we will also see how to create a project using command prompt, and then we will create a database, and we'll create a CRUD application which will fetch the record and create a new records. So all using our editor. So let's start by installing the extensions. So we click on this extension button, and now we are going to search. So I'm going to first search NuGet package. So NuGet. So this one, NuGet package manager. You need to install this JM Rock. I'm going to install that. NuGet package extension is required because we need to install Microsoft Entity Framework core and database and other tools and design package managers. So this tool will do that. So once that is installed, then we install C#. So there, just type out to C# and make sure that, so there are two things. One is C# dev kit. So this is a preview version. It's a bundle, so we have to install this. Then we'll also install my C# from my. So this is installing. Once we install this, it also gets automatically installed. Then we are going to install .NET install tool. So .NET install tool for external authors. So this is one. This is already installed in my Visual Editor, but this is also need to be installed. So these are the important things, and in order to make sure that your project folders, I'll show it to you in the demo. So let me first install this libraries. Let me just refresh it. So now when you refresh it, you see NuGet packager, Intel code, and C# dev kit and .NET tools for everything is installed. So since I installed C# dev kit, it installed the other components as well. So this is the first step. Now let's go ahead and click on the terminal view. So I just deleted that. So let's go ahead and pull that terminal view. So here you can see I'll just close all the windows to so that it is clear. And here you can see the terminal windows open, and this is my project folder. It's time to create now our project. So the command for using that is .NET. So .NET, when you type .NET, you can see that it is giving some option, and we can use .NET H. So it will give you the L. Now, if you look at the commands, there are a lot of commands over here. So here there is a command to build, and there is a command to add a package. You can add a package directly by this command prompt. Then there is something called new, which will be using new as create a new .NET project or file. So all these commands are there. I recommend that everybody to go through it once. Right now, whatever I'm doing is basically we are creating a project from scratch, and we'll be using migration command and other commands also. So this will be helpful. But I just want to show. So there was something that you can want the help from command prompt. We can do that. Then there is .NET info hyphen info. So this will give you the information, like what are the versions, what are the .NET runtime installed, and what is the SDK installed, what is the version of SDK .NET. So we have .NET 8 preview version, so we come to know. You can also type in .NET and you can say version. So this will also give you the version information only. And .NET help .NET info gives you not only version information, but it gives you SDK details as well. So that's the difference. Okay, guys. So now it's time that we go ahead and create a project. So in order to clear the screen, I'll say clear. So guys, we will first fire a command to create a new project. But just before that, make sure that you have selected the right folder. Now, in my case, I have shown you I have gone to the folder, file folder, and this was my working directory VS Code, and here I created a folder called Amazon Books. Inside this is nothing. So when I create a command, now this will be the project, my project file, be as Amazon Books, but you can also specify another project solution name. For now, I'll just simply use a command to create a new project, .NET ASP.NET MVC project. The command is .NET new MVC. You can see on your left hand side instantly those required files are created, folders and files are created. We have controller, model, object, properties, views, and we have www root folder, like similar to the one which you create in Visual Studio IDE. Now, if you go back to the folder, you'll be able to see that these files under the VS Code, which was a working directory, Amazon Books. Here you can see it's created a solution called Amazon Books because I was inside this directory and I just created a command called .NET new MVC. But the .NET new MVC also takes in parameters as name and language. You can use that and create your own names. So this is the project that is successfully created, and we can see the same over here in our editor. So now let's go ahead and run the project and see the output, a default page. So let's click .NET and the command is run. So first it is building. Here is the output. You can see the output over here, debug output. So you can see all the outputs over here similar to which we have in terminal. Yes, so .NET run, it is successfully building, and now it is listening in port 5245. And here if you click on the link, so I just follow that link and here you can see our page is loaded. So we successfully created one project called Amazon Books, and we can see the page is successfully loaded. Now in order to cancel this command prompt, you can just say Control C and it will come back to your clear the screen. So now let's go ahead. As I promised, I will show you how to create a database driven, like crude base operation. But I'm just going to create a database and fetch record and show it to you. And we will see. We'll take an just be comfortable with these things. Okay, there is one more thing I just wanted to show you. Now if you look at this project left hand side directory, this does not look like a folder. So in order to make sure that it exactly looks like an IDE, normal ASP.NET IDE, there is an extension called Material Design. So just click on extension and just type in material, and here you'll be able to see material icon themes, okay, by Philip. Just install this, and as once it's installed, okay, so I've selected this theme, and once you just refresh it, go back to your projects folder, and now you can see it creates folders. So it looks similar to our Visual Studio IDE. So now everything is set. Now it's time that we add the required code so that we can work with database. So let's first go ahead and create a model. So right click on the model and say new file. Let's call this as books entity .cs. So this is a book entity.cs. So we can take the namespace from here. We have an error we model default created. Just copy that namespace so that we don't need to do any typo mistake. So this is a namespace, and we will be creating a class over here. So we say public class. So you can see IntelliSense is working fine, and we are able to get the IntelliSense because we installed the required libraries. So here I'm going to define some properties. Prop ID, and this will be an ID, and so this is one, and then we are going to create a string title. We just copy this, author ISBN. So this will be our author, and this will be our ISBN. Okay, this is a model class which we created. Now let's go back to our create a folder called data, which will have the application DB contest class. So if we click on the Amazon project, there's a just right next to it we have something called new folder, and this is created under models, not under models, but click on that. And okay, so we create a folder called data. Now this folder will have a class called application db contest.cs. Now we'll copy the namespace so that we don't do any type of mistake. So we just copy this namespace, go back to application db, and this will be data. Now we'll create a class. So we have public class, and this will be application db contest, and this is a class. Now before we proceed and writing the code for connecting to database, two things we need to do. First, we need to define the connection string. So I save all, and I'll just try to build it once. .NET build. Yeah, you can see there is 3 warnings, but there are no errors. Yeah, the build successful, but there is no errors. So let's do that. Now let's add a connection string to the database into the application. So I'm going to open app setting.js, and here I'm going to enter connection string. I'm going to need default connection, and I'm going to specify the connection string over here. So I'll just open my Visual SQL Studio Management and just check the server name. So I've installed SQL Server Management, which is freely downloadable, and it is an Express edition. It's a free edition. So I click on connect, and this is the server name. So I'll just copy this. Okay, I'll come back to our editor and say server, and I paste that server name. Okay, so okay, there will be double 2 slashes, and then a database. You can name it as, this will be created new, so we can name it as Amazon Books DB. Then we have integrated space security, which is true because we are using Windows login, and then trust server certificate is true. This is important. So this is a connection string ready. So this was a connection string, so that you can have a good look on that. So this is a server name, then database. This will be created new using our migration command, and integrate security because we are not passing username, password or a database. We could do that. That's simple. And then finally, very important tag, trust server certificate is equals to true. So this is the connection string we have created in app just settings. Now let's go back to our application DB contest, and here now we need to install the packages. So click on run. We had installed this package called NuGet package extension, sorry. So we're going to use that extension and going to download it. So click on the view command palette, and here we're going to say NuGet package. So NuGet package, you just see there's an option called add package. You click on that. So once you click on that, you'll get this option, and here you need to type the entity. So I'm just typing entity. Will come so it will show me all the options related to entity. Here you can see Microsoft Entity Framework. So the first one which I want to install is core. So Microsoft Entity Framework core is something that will install. So click on that, and it will ask for the version. Select the 8.00 preview version, select that, and here you can see the option successfully done. I'll just clear the screen so that fine. So this is installed. Now let's go ahead and install the another one. So we say NIGAT package, so something that you have to type, then again write entity, and I'm select SQL Server. Now it will ask for prompt version. I select that, it's installed. Then I select package again, entity. I select tools this time. So tools is something that I needed because I'm going to use migration. So we have installed the required packages. Now let's click on explore option over here, go to application DB contest, and here this application DB contest will implement DB contest class. Now this reference we need to add. In order to add that, we have to DB contest, and this will use using Microsoft entity code. So this is what we need to refer. So now this will work. So here we have to add an additional code, which we will do it. We'll add a constructor. So public. So here you can see it is showing the options by default. So I just select that, select this, and this will be colon base options. This is all happening because I have used the required library. So this is done. And second is that we are going to define a DB set. So this is the name of the table. So public DB set books. So this is DB set, and this is not books, it's books entity. This is a model class, and I will have to refer that also over here. So I'm going to say using Amazon books dot models. So now this is correct over here, and this is the name of the table. So now if you go to application app setting, this is the name of the database that I want to create, and this is the name of the in your application DB context. This is the name of the table that will be created. So we have used a couple of codes over here, and before we proceed, let's try to make sure that our build is successful. So what I'm going to do is that .NET build. So there is one error. Let us fix that. So type or namespace name application could not be found. So this is happening where in the so we can just click on this. Application and then programs. Okay, so let's go to our class and make sure this is right, using books data, using books media entity framework core. So this all looks good. I'll just rebuild it once. .NET. So let me clear it, and .NET build. Now the same error. So guys, I figured out the issue. The issue was here in the constructor. So we have a class called application DB contest, and we had created a constructor, but then the DB contest parameter that I'm passing wrong. It should be application DB contest. So that was a mistake. So since I used IntelliSense, I did not notice that. So this is a code, and now let's build it, and hopefully there should be no issue. .NET build. Yes, so yes, we have warnings for properties, but the build is successful. So now there's one more thing we need to do before we run the migration command, is that we need to add some code in a program.cs. Here we need to call the connection string and the application db context class. So for that, let us actually use the namespace, and you use the references. The first reference we need to use, all this references, we'll copy it, go to programs, and we'll copy it over here because we'll require all these references. Now just before where app builder, just write above it, then we need to write a code. So we will write builder dot services dot add db dot add db contest, and this will be application db contest. This time we'll write the correct class name, and then open bracket and options, and then we say options dot use SQL server, and inside that I'm going to say builder dot configuration dot get connection string default connection, and we close the bracket. So this is that constructor code that we need to write. We are going to inject, basically we're injecting the connection string in the application db context class. So let's make sure that our build is successful. So I'll just save it and just run the command again, and let's see. Okay, so there's 32 errors. My god, let me just check what went wrong. So I don't need this namespace, so I'm using Amazon models because that's required, and then I should be using Amazon books.data and then the core entity. So let me correct those reference. I've done that. Let me just run it again. So there's now one error. Web application builder does not contain definition called services. Okay, so yeah, there's a typo error. It's S capital services. Similarly, let me just check builder. Okay, so this is right now. I'll save it and I'll run it again. Success. So this is successful. So now if you go to our database, we see there is no database called Amazon Books. So we are going to fire now the migration command, create the table and the database and the table, and proceed with the further execution of the project. So let's go ahead and execute the in migration command. Sorry. So let's go to our terminal, say clear, and say .NET EF entity framework migrations, and say add, this is our initial setup, db setup, and let's run the command. So build started and succeeded, so that's fine. That's the warning message. And yes, you can see the migration folder is added, and now the final command to create those database and table .NET EF database and update, and now it will execute the scripts created in the migration folder, and everything looks good. Yes, and we have successfully created the database and the table. Let's go to our database now and try to refresh it. So we'll just refresh it, and here you can see Amazon book db is created, and we'll be also having the tables called books with the fields that we created. So here you can see ID, title, author, all the fields that we wanted is created. We'll just go to the design view. It's a primary key, and we'll make sure that it is identity column. Yes, it is identity column since the primary. So now our database and table is ready. It's time that we write the code. So it's time that we call the controller and create views and display the record. So we click on controller and right click on the controller, say new file, and say book controller .cs. Okay, now go to click on the home, and you can copy the namespace over here. Just go to books and copy the namespace over here, which is correct. And now you can also copy this and class headings and just paste it and add a closing tag. And this will be just remove book home and enter book. So this is it. Our controller class is already ready. I always, whenever I'm working with VS Code editor, I make sure that I just do the, sorry, this is not the command. Control C. I just cancel. It's a .NET build. I just want to make sure that the build is perfect. Yes, it is. There's no error. Now let's add code to our controller. So the first thing we are going to do is that declare a DB context variable. So I'm going to say private application DB context, and this will be our DB. So I'll just refer this over here using Amazon Books data. Fine. So this is required because we are using this class. Now I'm going to create a constructor. So we are going to say prop. So CTOR tap, and yes, the constructor is created. And I'm going to use the application DB context DB and inject that over here. So this will be DB, and this is, I'm going to initiate this variable underscore DB that I created in my constructor. So my DB connection is ready. Now let's go ahead and create our first index. So let's go ahead and create public action result, and this will be index. Okay, and this will return a view. Now we need to write a code over here, and we will also create the required view. So first we'll write the code and then we'll create the view. I'm going to save it. I just build it once, and so we are done. We are in a good shape. So now I'm going to write a code over here. So index will return all the books from the table. So I say where books, and it will be underscore db dot books, and this will be the table name, and this will be to list. And then we are going to return this to our view. So this is our first code. Let's save it, build it once, and now we are going to create view. So click on views, right click, create new folder first, and say books, because our controller name is book. So we say book, and then we are going to right click on book, say new file, and I'm going to say index.cshtml. This is a view. You can see it's the same view. Now go to home, copy that index CSHTML, copy this, go to your book, and inside book the index, and paste it. So this is not, so this is list, so this is books, and here we are going to write our code to display the record. And save it. And just for now I'm going to say books, and just call this, and I'm going to save it. So let's call this now. So this is our index. We should be able to open this page over here. So let's build it and run the application once. So .NET run. I'm going to run the application. So this is open over here. I'm going to click it. This is opened over here. Now I have not added the link, but I can call the page. So I'll say slash book, which is a controller name, and enter. Okay, so let me just fix this up. I'll go back to my code, and so since we don't have any records in the table, I think so that's the issue. Let me just check. I'll just check the references are correct or not. Yes, everything looks good. I'll just run it once again. .NET build and .NET run, and if the error comes, so we'll check the application DB context class. Let me just try it once, and this is book, and enter, and we still get the same error. So it says okay, so let's go and check the application DB context. I'm sure there's some mistake over here. So click on application DB context class, and this is our constructor, and this is a DB set entity books. Okay, so here we have only get, we have not used the set property. So this was a issue. The book entity should also get as well as set values. So this is representing a table, and it cannot be only get, it has to also set values. So here the problem, I've identified it, I've saved this now, and I am very hopeful that now the issue should not come. I'll just cancel this, and .NET build once again. We will .NET run. So okay, so we'll click on this link. The link is here active. Just refresh it, and once let's click book slash. So our index space is now loaded. So what we're going to do is that we will pre-populate the information. Now right now our database table does not have any value. So we'll insert that. Let's open the table and add some records in the backend. So ID, so title, I'm going to say ASP.NET author Digital TechJoint, and ISP number is, we'll have one more entry, C# by Microsoft, and this is another ISP. Added two records. So this both records should be visible in our front end now. In order to be visible, let's edit the index page, and let's add the HTML code. So in the HTML code, I've already added model, list, and entity. This is required. Then this is the title. This is the books. Then we say br, and we add div class, and this will be a row. And here we are going to add one button. So call md12, and this will be a ASP.NET action, a tag helper. So this will be a method, action method in the controller class book, and this will be a controller. Our controller name is book, and this will be a button, btn hyphen success, and this will be create. So create book, this will be the name of the button. Now, so we have added one div, and now we'll have add one more div, and we're going to say div row, div class row, and just pull this property window down, and so that you can see the code. And here I'm going to add a table. So we are going to say div class call that md-12, and This will have a table class table, and then this will have header. This will be a row td. This will be book title. I'll just copy this, and this will be author and ISBN. So this will be author name, and this will be ISBN. Fine. So now after header, we add a body. So it's t body. Okay, and here I'm going to loop in. So I'm going to say at the rate for each var item in model, and here I'm going to say tr and this will be td at the rate item dot title, and then I'm going to just copy this and change it to author and ISBN. Fine. So this is a code. So I'll just save this, and I'll say Control C, and then I'll say .NET build, .NET run. So click on the link, and now I'm going to just say books and enter, and here you can see we are able to display the record directly. So this is a button, this is a create button. I'll just show you how to create that in the controller, and then you can I'll just quickly copy that HTML code and show how to add also. So we were able to successfully fetch the record using our VS Code, basically using an IDE with VS Code. Now let's go ahead and quickly do the create code and complete this tutorial. So for that, let's go to our controller and add the code to add new records. So let's create first the view public I action result. This will be create because we are given a name as create, and this will return view. This one, so this is okay, fine. So this is just going to return a view. Now let's right click on the views folder and on the book folder, and right click and say new view, and just say create .cshtml. Let's copy this basic code. So here we don't we'll copy this, but we'll have a different HTML, so we just copy that code over here, and just to remove this list, because we don't require a list now, we require just the entity class. This will be not books, but we'll be adding new book, and we're going to remove this HTML and add another HTML. So I'm going to just copy paste that HTML just to save our time. So guys, I'll just paste that HTML code over here so that we can quickly. So this is a code. It's a very simple code. There are a lot of videos that I have created. You can see those codes. So basically, this is form tag, which is taking action as create book, which is a method that we will be creating in our controller. This is a controller class. So this is not books. This is book. Method is post, and then we are taking title input and author and ISBN input, and then we have a summary of exception if there is any. Then there is a button, okay, to submit it, and there's one more button index that will move back to our index for listing. So this is an HTML view. Let's try to build it once. Control C. So .NET build. So this worked. Now let's go to our controller, book controller, and here I'm going to add a method. So this is a view which is created over here. Now when you click on submit, this view calls a method called create book. So just copy this, go back to my book controller and create a method. So this will be my HTTP post method. So I'll just add a tag over there, and there's a public uh, iAction result. This will be create book, and I'm going to pass books entity as book. Okay, and then I'm going to enter. So here I'm going to write my code, a single few lines of code, which is says underscore db dot books dot add book, then underscore db dot save changes. Okay, and then I'm going to redirect to action index. That's it. Let's save this all and just build it once. Okay, so we got an error. Let me just check what is the error. Okay, so let me just check the code here. I see everything. Okay, so here it's books dot, it's a capital P, so books dot add. So this is the name of the entity. So I'll just save now and try to build it once again. So let me just check and build it. Build. I'm sure this time it should be built. Yeah, so we are successfully done with it. Now let's go ahead, and before we start the program again, we just go to views, shared, layout, and here I'm going to change the layout so that I don't have to type in. So here the first, instead of this is books, so this will be book now. Controller index is it, and here this will be books. So let's save this, save all, and build it once, and then run the project. .NET run. Okay, so it's click on that. Now click on books, so you're able to see the books. Now I'm going to click on create. This is called at index. I'm going to write one book name. So I say Digital Bank by Skinner. This is the ISBN number, and click on create. Yes, we can see Digital Bank is created. Our code worked successfully. So with this, we complete our tutorial, guys. Using Visual Studio Code, I showed you very basic steps of creating a project. I actually shown you how to introduced you with the VS Code editor. Showed you how to download the required and install the required extension and packages, and also created a database driven application, so that there's a lot of confidence that you gain from this video on creating basically a project using VS Code. So guys, I hope you like this video, and please do subscribe my channel, share my channel link with your family, friends and colleagues, and help us to grow our digital tech joint channel. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time.